All right, well, welcome to the fourth RCN workshop at NYU Brooklyn, and it's, of course, on millimeter wave research and technology, and I am representing, and this is in some ways, I can only represent one or the other at any one point in time, but I'm representing NSF first and foremost, since I've been a program director there since November, and I'm also, from the University of Wisconsin. So, welcome everyone. We have an exciting program going on, and of course, it's great to be here at NYU as one of the big players and movers and shakers of millimeter wave wireless. Okay, so this is a slide that I've been using since the beginning, and it's still there were exciting times when it started, 2016. That's when I ran into Ted there at the announcement of the FCC Spectrum Frontiers announcement. And this RCN is part of that related announcement by NSF on a $400 million advanced wireless initiative, which is a brainchild of Thiaga and Nandagopal. He couldn't be here today, but this is one of the parts of that initiative. And of course, the PAR platforms, which two of them were announced recently. NYU and Rutgers and Columbia are part of one, and then that's a Cosmos, and then Powder at Utah, Salt Lake City. So that's great. And there's a lot of, it's a big part of 5G, as we all know, gigabit speeds, millimeter wave, millisecond latency, although that's still a challenging task, and hopefully there'll be some exciting discussion on that. And several use cases, but the big one initially is going to be the fixed wireless. That's going to be happening, and then some people think it's the killer app for autonomous vehicles, and then eventually we'll get to small cell mobile devices too, and backhaul is already being used. A lot of frequencies, FCC has played a big role, and a lot of exciting developments that we'll get to hear more today as well. Just to give you a quick background of where it's coming from, especially for those who are coming here for the first time, there are three big areas that we think: hardware, networking, communication and signal processing algorithms that play a role in wireless in general and millimeter wave in particular. And we've been talking about cross-layer for a long time, but this is really an area where cross-layer can't be, interaction can't be ignored. You're just going to sub-optimize things, and prototypes and testbeds make a big impact here as power platform, and that's going to be a big discussion here as well. And then industry, academia, government agencies, all are playing a role, national labs as well. And so the goal here is to really cross-fertilize the ideas across the three players or classes of players to fuel the development of millimeter wave wireless technology. Now, it's easier said than done, but we've been trying our best. And so we've had 3 workshops, starting in DC, and then Madison, and then last one in Tucson. And I think Marwan Kroons, our host there, is around here too. He's a member of the steering committee. And so here's a steering committee, a whole bunch of people here. Sandeep Rangan, the local host here. He should be around here somewhere. There he is. And then Jim is not here. Ismail is here from NC State. Marwan is here. Hanglu is here. Ali injured his, not broke, luckily, injured his knee, so he can't be here. Soccer fan. And Amitava was out in Santa Clara, maybe still there. I think Ozga is here from Qualcomm. And Carlos couldn't be here. Ashwin was at 5G. He's back. And Ian has a rep here, Charlie. And Kate Remley is here from NIST. And Tommy Swenson from Chalmers is there too. So we have a good attendance. These people guide us to some extent. And here is the new NSF building. If you haven't been there, come and visit us. Send us your great ideas. Serve on panels. It's very convenient, 10-minute metro ride from Reagan. And our offices are on the 14th floor on the east wing. Okay, so some big themes that have emerged, which are going to be emphasized here too, is hardware signal processing interface, signal processing networking interface. And last time we had a very exciting discussion on the interplay with the 5G NR standards, which are coming from 3GPP, and then the Wi-Fi standards. And they're kind of evolving, decoupled, but there's some possibility for synergy, and appropriate channel models for both. And of course, this is a place where a lot of channel modeling has happened. And then really the need for test beds for research and experimentation at academia. Everyone has said they're very expensive, and the technology, the way it's going to evolve is changing. So that's an important theme that we're going to emphasize here too. And I'll say a little bit more about that. There's a breakout dedicated to that, and hopefully we'll also discuss it in the panel discussions. And the venues for new conferences, journals, I think there's activity happening here. And we've been looking at some of the problems related to these interface areas and some big challenges that industry and academia can address together. And I don't know how many, I think a lot of people feel the same way, that collectively, I don't think we are really unleashing our innovation potential in terms of industry and academia collaborating. It's not an easy problem, but we're not doing our best. So, testbed development, as I already mentioned, I'll just put in a plug for NSF programs, which are very relevant to this. So if you are interested in building it, there's MRI, Major Research Instrumentation Program. That's a little bit smaller, although it's fairly big too, which is January 1st to 22nd in 2019 is the deadline. And then the SIZE Research Infrastructure Program, the preliminary proposal on November 7th, and full proposal in January again. So don't forget the website. I'm just going to quickly go through some of the posts that I put in there we put in there over the time. So this was happening in January. They're like, a lot of progress made on fixed wireless access. And then, of course, big announcement that the next iPhones will be built in Wisconsin, Foxconn. So that was happening there, which is exciting. So fixed wireless is a big deal. There was another. This is a lot of interplay on that. And then Huawei and NTT had a major milestone in Japan. And then KT, showed some additional data distribution during the Olympics. And then FC proposed auction of the 28 gigahertz spectrum. This was the power announcement. One of them, Salt Lake City and NYC. New York City get the Cosmos and Powder, as I mentioned earlier. Then the fixed home, this is going from the outside to the inside. And then this is getting towards the consumer devices. And then the 5G NR standalone standard or specification has been approved. And so that was one of the things in June. And this is one of the slides from last time that I had put in Tucson, which was one of the articles that, what Alan Gatherer runs. And they're great. The titles are, makes you pissed off or mad or what's going on. And so this was one of the articles by John Chiaffi and his team about DSL, the next generation of DSL. And I wanted to get John to come and talk in Tucson. That didn't happen, but we are very fortunate to have him here. Talk about these waveguide modes in DSL as a complement to the last mile. It's a great pleasure to have our first keynote speaker, Professor John Chiaffi from Stanford, and also the CEO of ASEA Incorporated. And he doesn't need any introduction. He's got his undergrad from Illinois, grade school, and then he went to Stanford, almost as good. And he did his PhD, got his PhD there, and then he went to, I think, IBM for a little bit, and then he started his career at Stanford as an assistant professor in '86, I think, or somewhere around there. And then he left in '91 to form Amati Corporation, where the DSL started. And it was acquired by, I think, TI in '98. And then that was not the end of it. In 2003, he formed ASEA Incorporated, I think, if I remember correctly, to kind of really move it DSL to the next level. And he's been involved in that ever since. And And he's got many, many awards, of course, and Marconi Award, Alexander Graham Bell Medal, and he's a member of the National Academy of Engineering. So without further ado, John, please take it away. Thank you for coming. Okay, Swami.